Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How's it going? So we got 3 interviews in 3 days. Today I'm with Shep Ambellas from Infowars, or who you've seen on Infowars. We're gonna talk about what's happening in Miami because he's just been blasting through this stuff. And without further ado, let's just bring him on. What's up,
Uh,
brother?
how are you been, man? It's great to be on the show, Micah.
It's good to be here, man. Last time I had you on, you were going. There was like some construction or something going on a while back.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So let's start off with the softball question about what's going on in Miami.
Hmm.
You remember a few months ago when they tried to tell us that Mexico showed us these alien bodies, right? You remember that?
Right.
Right? So why would they be so open to showing you that and then so hush hush, everything has to be confiscated, you can't record pictures, nothing can be done in Miami? What do you think the difference is?
Maybe just the approach of disclosure or something for the country from a country standpoint. That's interesting, but I mean, it is a different country, and maybe they view things differently or something. Obviously we have like a US airspace, and with that they got Space Force, Northcom, NORAD, all this stuff, and I'm sure that gets into like classified things. I mean, who knows how true this is, but I heard that they basically track ion trails from any craft entering the atmosphere, and they basically know what's up, and they're monitoring all this.
So basically, I like to tell people that whatever you think is cutting edge technology with military weapons or this, that, and the other thing, you gotta like add another 40 years to that because we're
Right.
definitely behind what they actually have in black box.
Absolutely. And maybe in some cases, who knows, I mean, it could be 100 years.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you've been kind of hammering this. I've been seeing you on Twitter or X, just pounding out interviews and stuff. You've had people on that have talked to you about what they physically saw, who
Well,
were
I
actually
I
there.
I I culminated a bunch of eyewitness encounters through videos and just testimony. I went in a Twitter space with Tony Merkel was in there as well, and one eyewitness gave about a 40 minutes to an hour of testimony. And I mean, these are all alleged eyewitnesses. I basically, what I've done now is just kind of report on the situation. It's not like I'm claiming anything,
Right.
like, because I know there's, like, I know
Right.
you don't think that, but there's people out there that are like real straw manish, like this guy is claiming that, and all this
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just the guy that's like investigating this and culminating all this shit,
What you
and
are is you're gathering all the information together and see what
yeah,
story
and
stands out of it.
ultimately, yeah, and I can give my take on what I think. I honestly think something happened there. I think something really happened. I think it's similar to what basically most all. Now, one lady with red glasses and a pink coat was a fraud TikToker. That's proven. The portal video is fake because we can see a yellow hue to the portal over a black and white background.
Mhm.
There's a video that's kind of flickerish and it's blurry, and you can hear people breathing, and it really sounds like it was filmed in that mall, and you can see shadow figures. But who knows with today's technology or whatever, but that's fascinating. There's a graffiti artist who came forth, and he says he was there, and he says he saw these teenagers like plug in this box and shit, and they had like
Mhm.
backpacks and like welding glasses on, and it started making a noise, and like this portal opened up, and something stepped out of it, and someone fired on this shit or something. But then he says that device actually broke, whatever that is. So there, I know, so like from so if you logically think about this, because a lot of people are thinking like, okay, could it be holograms or Project Bluebeam? I mean, wow, that would have to, I mean, maybe like if they installed them in the ceiling of this place, in the actual building or some crazy shit. But like as far as those kids like projecting it from that device, it's unlikely because that device fell and broke supposedly.
Right.
And
Well, isn't the thing about Project Bluebeam that they talk about, guys, when you're talking about religious figures appearing in the sky, hologram
right.
technologies that we have? You saw the Santa with the drones. You saw,
Hmm.
um, you saw the dragon come out. I mean, it's basically
Yeah.
Back to the Future, right? When the shark comes out, it's
Right.
basically the same thing, but it's going to be a revelation. But the one thing about Bluebeam that we do know is that when it comes in, everybody's going to say that it's real. So
Hmm.
I don't think this is Bluebeam, because if it was Bluebeam, they wouldn't be trying to shut everyone
Well,
down.
that's the thing. Okay, so that right, you're very smart and perceptive, because you know, I mean, people are. It's funny how people in the alternative media are basically trying to, when it comes to something like this, they like they side up with the mainstream all of a sudden or something. I find that weird. A lot of these guys, but like basically, people are free thinking individuals. I've heard this thing too, like a lot of people were saying like eyewitnesses aren't that credible. I mean,
Yeah. Eyewitness
honestly,
testimony in court is not always credible.
right. And the news would like you to believe that. But as an investigative reporter, I've got so much intel from interviewing people and stuff. And I know it's real and it led to things and stuff. So, you know, they it's like the news likes to spout a narrative like eyewitness testimony is not credible, and like you said, it's not really admissible or credible in
Mhm.
court to some extent, right?
Right.
But
To a
they
major extent, actually.
that's also like a psyop that they run to give protection to that so that whenever you see real eyewitnesses come forth. See, I myself have had close encounters with UFOs, and I
Yeah,
talked
we,
about
we,
it
we
on.
went over it last time. I know
Yeah,
you had
yeah,
some things, yeah.
yeah, and so that right there, I wasn't just by myself. I was with different people on multiple occasions and stuff. So and we saw the same thing. And that right there puts me in a frame of understanding of just like the average guy off the street who's never seen something like that at close range or something. So,
Mhm.
it's going to be harder for people to accept
Yeah.
until they see something on their own that
Right.
they think is out, or some, or maybe like if someone sees a ghost or like
Right.
who knows, there's all these stories that
Right.
exist for a reason, right?
There's another thing that came to my mind, brother. I want to share it with you real quick. We always hear that when the aliens come, and they show you this in movies, they showed you this in The Fourth Kind,
Mhm.
which is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen in my
Oh
life.
yeah.
Go see The Fourth Kind, guys, with Mila Jovovich. It's frightening. Um, these entities have the ability to turn off electronics. You see that happen all the time,
Right. And
right?
and so that's what literally every witness that I just personally feel like there's some of these people are telling the truth. I actually feel like that first guy that came forward and then retracted his statement. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, he came forward and I just
He was
by
the
doing
black
a
guy in the video, right?
yep,
Yeah, the
yep,
black guy in the video
and he's
that
wearing a white hoodie, and
mhm.
then in the next video he's wearing a different hoodie, and then but like, dude,
Someone talked
if
to him.
if you analyze body language and and you can just, dude, he's fluidly laying down details of a story now, and these details match details of all these other stories that were surfacing, and I'm a reporter doing this now. I got like 60 hours into it, and but at that point I had X amount of hours into it, and I'm thinking like, dude, these people aren't going to be knowing all these videos and be like being able, and then like being able to perform this shit like that,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
like, and then you can tell he got to, in my opinion. and
Mhm.
and so someone could be listening right now and they could just be like, whatever, whatever. But I mean, then again, I'm an investigative journalist and I've done this for over a decade, and I don't know. I personally know I know how to read people, and I've
Right.
actually had my own encounters, so I believe stuff like that
Mhm.
exists. So
There was a
I
rumor. There was a rumor that all the cops showed up, right? They
that's
went
not
in and they had all
it.
their weapons, and these beings were so, it was like they were so far advanced from us that they didn't care about our puny weapons, kind of thing. Like they
Right,
didn't care. Have you heard that
right.
too?
Well, I feel like that is how it would go down. But no, that's definitely absolutely what happened was they gave a show of force code, which is reserved only for the highest level, like a 9/11 incident. And they literally told every single cop, as crazy as that sounds, to respond to this mall. And they surrounded it, and eventually over 300 officers were there, in between 250 and 300 ultimately. And they were there until 4 and 5 a.m. And there was shit going on, and they
This is
swiped
all for
people's.
kids fighting with sticks, right?
Right. So, okay. So here's the thing. So, okay, there, because there's like people like pounding on this, and I feel like they're barking up the wrong tree. Like, okay, you're gonna pound on like how fake this story could be, but why wouldn't you be like pounding on like, why would there be like that ultimate police response for a couple kids with sticks? And once the first cop showed up and realized it was a punk kid with a stick, and I mean, like, I don't get it. Also, I went through like the scanner tapes, and it's bizarre. They're really empty from that night.
You know what
I
else is
even,
interesting, Shep? I don't know if you know this, but you could file an FOIA claim for the 9/11 tapes. Those are public.
oh, really?
Yeah, you could file a Freedom of Information Act for the 9/11 tapes.
That's
I mean, the
fascinating.
911 tapes, not the 9/11
Oh, the
tapes.
911. Oh, right. But so they'll deny those, in my opinion. Like we did all that for the Las Vegas shooting for
Mhm.
the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival incident. And they literally denied it. And then basically, in a roundabout way, in the FOIA request, they said the reason they're denying it is because the FBI was investigating the exact same thing that I was requesting, which was all the helicopter shit.
Oh wow.
So that actually confirmed it for me even further, basically, because they were literally admitted to like investigating this flight data.
Have you heard the claim that if you reverse the coordinates of the Miami Mall
Yeah,
backwards, it
I
shows a
was
place in the middle of Antarctica?
I want to double check on that, but so Tony Merkel and them went on air on the confessionals, and one of the guys on there actually double checked it, and I would trust that he did that, and he said it's true. So,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's so you think they probably just opened a portal in the wrong place because we know that
That's
Antarctica.
possible, and and there, to me, something like that seems like it could be like an interdimensional being or something. But dude, check this out. Like, in a weird way, they kind of have similar description to those aliens in the backyard in Vegas in a strange way. It just kind of has that vibe. You know what I'm saying? And if both of those cases are real,
Mhm.
and those are like a similar type species, people have like thrown out the word, even the mainstream, they're throwing out. Well, and so you got a good point too when you said, like, okay, so if this was Project Bluebeam or whatever, like a Bluebeam operation,
Mhm.
the mainstream media would be telling you this shit is real.
Yes,
Like
correct.
wouldn't they be like, they would, I mean, they would
And
be
then you
out there
throw
like,
in the
oh
fact
fuck it,
that they
yeah,
just recently released two mini aliens.
yeah,
What's going on with disclosure?
yeah. And then you got this Hunter Biden shit. Oh, but then then they released this jellyfish UFO thing, and and that Corbell guy, to me, could be questionable. I don't know, but I find that funny because does that cover up some of the search for the Miami incident now? Because people are fixated on this
So
jellyfish.
do me a
You
favor, Shep. For people who are listening to us, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Just give a quick rundown on what happened, when it happened, and what's being claimed.
So, on supposedly, according to news reports, this happened on the first, but there's a couple speculating or conflicting reports, but people maybe just got dates mixed up. Maybe possibly also due to they were there later than midnight,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff was going on. But basically they said on the first that these kids were in a fight at this shopping mall, the Bayside shopping center or whatever, and they said that these kids had sticks and maybe firecrackers or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and supposedly that caused some kind of panic and everyone ran out of the mall. But I found out through my research that happened 4 blocks away, and I found out they put a 6 block perimeter around the area when the police showed up.
That's a standard perimeter, yeah.
And uh basically these what one guy describes this portal opening and this like bean starting to step out, and then he probably like kind of dipped out of there, but like other people caught it from possibly after that portal opened, and they noticed commotion and turned around, and by then there was like 3 beans there, and that's kind of the point of where a lot of people are describing it from.
How are these
And
beings described?
kind of 7 to 12 foot tall, depending on who you talk to, shadowy but solid. People's minds are going back and forth, but ultimately they're kind of saying they're organic, grayish black, dark blackish gray type thing. And they were glitching in and out of reality, or kind of gliding to another location to some
Mm-hmm.
extent.
Right. It's almost like space and time didn't matter. They would just disappear and then show up 10 feet closer to you, and people were going nuts.
Yeah, and so you could have, people are saying aliens, it could be anything, interdimensional beings, Nephilim. I mean, we don't really know, but
Right.
aliens is a good word, I guess. I mean, and it's weird because to me, a lot of these eyewitnesses, I'm believing them. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I watch these things and I'm thinking, shit, at least 3, 4 of these are legit. And if that's the case, and so basically eventually like the police came in and they didn't really supposedly they didn't really interfere too much with them, because they probably realized that's some weird shit to deal with. But they tried to act all orderly, but they did scan people's phones with a weird device that probably scraped them, or and they really like, man, that was the whole thing they were doing in there the whole night, was they were making sure no one. So like, I now heard another thing that I'm going to try to get on a show, but this guy called the police department, and it was weird. They're telling him they can't talk about, but he's like, well, a friend of mine had, and then he's like, but he's like acting like he did it, but then he's saying like he's got this footage, but then he's saying like, well, I'm gonna say a friend of mine, because he's trying to fuck with the cop to give him a psyop, like he definitely has video of what
Right.
happened in there or something.
Did you happen to
So
see the guy's video who was wearing a mask? And he
yeah,
was like, I'm
I
far away
almost
from my
believe that. I
alien.
mean, to me, at first, the first couple seconds I put that on, I'm like, fuck. I mean, this is weird. Like, how do we know if we can believe it or anything? But honestly, that's trippy. I
Mhm.
almost got like a real vibe from that. Like,
Right. Just explain to people what we're talking about with this video
some
real quick.
guys wearing like maybe like a Einstein mask or
Yeah, it was
something
an Einstein
funky.
mask. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's basically like, just saying he was in a group chat with some of these other people that saw this, and I think he saw it too. And he said the other people had already disappeared from this group chat, and he was starting to get paranoid. And I really do think they're going around telling people, you better not talk about this. And these, like, some guy that called the police department, they were acting all weird. I mean, who
Mhm.
knows if it's a staged call or something weird,
Right.
but honestly, it's
See,
probably
a lot of people don't understand that every president, I mean, Jimmy Carter openly talked about his alien encounter, and
hmm
then they elected him president. Um,
right.
a lot of these presidents want to come in and declassify this stuff, and they're always shut down. People don't realize that there are levels of clearance in this kind of stuff well beyond a president, like 15, 20 levels, well beyond the
hmm
president as far as top secret clearance goes when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean they compartmentalize it so much. I don't even think the presidents can get into these programs and whatnot, and that's like creepy within itself. Um, I mean, this is not to me. It's not too far out of the realm. I don't think it's Blue Beam because I don't think they would try to totally squelch it like that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Maybe they would try to act like they squelched it with a couple outlets to make it seem real or something, but primarily they would run with it. But what we're primarily seeing is just everyone's going with this narrative that it was kids with sticks and they're laughing
Right.
it up
And
and
the other thing about Blue Beam too is it's supposed to be in the sky and it's supposed to be a religious figure. It's not
yeah.
like why would you test Blue Beam in a mall with aliens? I mean, maybe, but like
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I
not.
guess on Blue Beam could be like any type of psyop, like that. But yeah, and maybe, but gosh, in this one, I'm just not. I think something's going on. You know what's weird is Florida is a hotspot for UFOs. There was the Gulf Breeze UFO. I used to live in Gulf Breeze when I was a kid,
Mhm.
and so there was that going on, and I think there was some other sightings. And then there's that underwater base off the coast of Florida over there. But who knows? I mean, if it's like portal stuff, fascinating. I'm hoping that somehow some type of video proof comes out. But even if just more and more eyewitnesses come out and we can just read their body language and just see like 20 of them or something, that would just let me
There was
know.
also talks about that Men in Black flashy thing that's supposed to wipe memories. What do you think about
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think definitely they have stuff like that. I mean, the Men in Black's no joke, and one guy he went around and he filmed that giant on that mountain, and
that?
then they ended up killing him, and that's kind of like a whole proven thing, and that's pretty
Hmm.
like whack,
Hmm.
so like he totally was done, and so, and that was kind of similar because he made a video like that black dude. Like he 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 all of a sudden said it wasn't real and he was looked all sketchy. That dude's like, man, that black dude's like just like tripping. You can tell like the way he's saying it, he's wanting to let you know they got to him, but he's not, and he's really scared. It's so bizarre, and then you watch his third video and his whole demeanor changes again, and it's just like that's wild.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. So, what have you? This has been your major focus. The other thing I say, Shep, is when something like this comes out, right? And everyone focuses on it, it's taking the focus away from something else. So
Hmm.
what's been going on in this country that was distracting us from?
I think that it's the opposite with this because of the fact that they didn't really give this any mainstream play.
Hmm.
Only people like us would be distracted with it, right? like
Hmm.
like people that are interested in that. So I almost feel like, they're dropping all this other stuff and now they got Hunter Biden and now I mean, I don't know. We'll see, if this becomes a thing where it starts happening more and more. Like I posted something on Twitter where I got pics off of Twitter where they said it was like in Ohio and it looked like a pink sky,
Hmm.
like at night. I mean, that's pretty weird.
Hmm.
Um, just, and then, I'm big into Planet X, right? So like in my mind, I'm thinking, like this planet in my opinion is getting closer and closer and closer because I've been following it for
Hmm.
years. I did a documentary and that's what I said COVID was like a blanket operation for this planet moving in, and eventually it's going to get pretty hairy with like earth changes, which we're seeing, like Africa splitting in half and forming a new sea under it. Saudi Arabia was recently underwater. I mean, there's just lots going on. They say 2024 is the year that Yellowstone's going to erupt. Scientists agree unanimously, basically. There's mainstream articles on that, and that makes you wonder. And then the potential of like asteroid strikes and this
Right.
and that.
It's
And
interesting too, Shep, because check this out. Whenever you're listening to these people and you're
mhm,
watching these interviews with these people, pay close attention to their eyes, and I'm going to tell you why. You have your left brain and your right brain. Your left brain is your logical. Your left brain is your lawyer type, your logical, sturdy, and the right brain is the creative. If you are looking to the left, you're telling the truth usually because you're accessing your left brain. Whereas if you look to the right, you're accessing the creative part of your brain, which
Oh, right.
is a lie. So you can
Yeah,
usually
people,
tell.
and that's a
I mean,
good
people will
body.
say that's debunked, but it makes complete total
No,
sense.
there's a lot of that, and just learning people over time and how they've reacted through your life, and just really taking that in. And then there's actual experts on body language, and all that plays into it. And I noticed a lot of like that going on, like in these videos. Like it was legit looking to me, watching for these movements and stuff. Wasn't nothing like that was really going on.
Is there anybody out there that was there trying to pound the truth out?
Yeah, there's a dude named Mo, and he's on some of my videos. I recorded him in a Twitter space, and yeah, there's some people, but man, they're getting got too quick, and they're actually just scared to post a video, and they feel like it's gonna get taken down, so they're kind of just posting, and they know X amount of people are gonna see it, and they're expecting it to get taken down or something, but you can tell there's like somewhat of a panic, to these people, like I don't know, like, or they're apprehensive, and or they're not really wanting to post these things because they're fearful.
Yeah. This doesn't sound like Bluebeam to me, to be honest with you.
No.
But when something does happen and the media celebrates it, you'll know. We'll know. The people won't know, but we'll know.
Right. Right. That's
Yeah.
what I feel like too. I think you're right about that.
Yeah. So I think when it comes down to this entire story, that's the interesting thing too, because some people said it was on the 1st, some people said it was on the 3rd. It's just the whole story it's very bizarre.
Part of what could now so one guy, Mo, says the news is lying. Now I believe this. I believe that they could be referencing a fight that took place on the 1st to kind of straw man it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that it could have happened on, like, you could probably start finding when videos were first dropped, but I think that there's something like that could be going on. Like, so the news is trying to play it off like this happened, but they're literally saying like the wrong date or something, maybe. I don't know, even though people in Miami know, because that's what people were saying too. They're like, man, I can't believe the cops are doing this, because everyone knows, but I mean, they basically, all those people got their phones swiped and shit, and they know that's crazy as fuck. And
where did we get the video footage, the overhead video footage of all the cops?
Okay, so I don't know, but it seemed like from a phone. But also, here's what's interesting about that. So with the Las Vegas shooting, I dealt with this specifically. They sent a drone up, and I found this on radar and everything. And within like 30 minutes, they were already scraping people's phones, and they were somehow remotely uploading videos off of people's phones from like a drone and shit. This is like something I found out. But so in this case, I feel like they set up some kind of barrier to where, or maybe the aliens themselves did, but it seemed like people could film kind of like somewhat out in the far parking lot. But if you got anywhere closer than that, there's just no footage. Think about this. Okay, it's the biggest police response in history, but you got no footage from inside the mall. Not one guy pulled out their phone. See, think about that. That's the biggest thing. Oh, really? Okay. Not one guy's going to film all these cops in the mall, inside the mall. Like, literally everyone would be filming it. I mean, this is insane. Like, so there's nothing
I
like
wonder
that.
if there was like an internal police scanner.
Yes, they flipped to another channel. I think is what they did is immediately
they flipped to another channel, and they gave these guys specific instructions on what they had to do.
Yep. and it was probably the military or men in black, like literally guiding
Mhm.
them, and not the police type thing
Mhm.
too. Once at that point, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Now, in your in your experience, because you've had UFO experiences, has there ever been one that was so public and not in like a remote location, like some near
Yeah,
Montana?
one I saw, that really big one that was like a half mile to 1 mile across somewhere in that neighborhood. It after it went over where we were,
Mm-hmm.
I drove down to the beach and I looked across the water and I could see Seattle, and it was over Seattle. And and that night the news tried to air some shit. Like that night, they said like, stay tuned for the extraterrestrial photo of the night or some shit, and they kept saying this, and me and my friends are like, no way, we know we saw it over there, we know someone got the photo. We're trying to tell everyone, oh shit, like we saw, you know. No, they got to the end of the broadcast and didn't air shit. Like literally, like said this the whole broadcast and didn't show anything. Like as if someone came in and said nope. So yeah, that went on. And
It's so
but
peculiar.
in my cases, it wasn't just people like with me that saw it. I correlated with other people in the town
Mm-hmm.
and later and stuff, so it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. But we know that these aliens do have the technology to, I mean, they can cloak. We've recently figured out how to cloak something.
Hmm.
Um, and I forget the technical information about it, but
Yeah,
you
they
can like hold
there's
this thing in front of you, and
yeah.
you could see through the person.
Yeah, like the Predator or something.
Right, right, right.
They have patents to cloak entire planets in the
Mm-hmm.
sky. That's
Mm-hmm.
insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, damn, man. So okay, so where are you at? How many days in a row have you been working on this?
The whole time, and pretty much a long hours, except for I had to take my dog to the vet the other day. So I think I'm somewhere around like 55 or 60-ish hours into
Mm-hmm.
this, and
What was the most
just
convincing thing you've seen so far?
just the different some people are gonna see like the average person's gonna say the opposite on this, but in my opinion, these witnesses are credible, like a lot of them, and it's fascinating. So I want more to come forward and just keep seeing what's happening and read their body language, you
Do
know.
you think? Do you think that because the public has a short-term memory, do you think they're gonna wait till things cool off and die down with this whole thing, and then you're gonna start seeing,
That my
random?
I picture, like, yeah, like I'm almost picturing like for the next year we'll see like 100 of these come out or something, you know
Mhm,
what I mean, or something like that. But
mhm,
who knows? Maybe in like a year or over some kind of duration we'll get someone's recording. But they obviously probably went through every store, grabbed all the security tapes and all this shit, and I
mhm,
mean that's what you would do, so um but and then there's the fact that just everyone was literally reporting either they were scared shitless. Like this one guy's like, I don't care if I sound like a bitch. I was scared shitless. I didn't pull my phone out. Like in there, he's like telling you like that's scary shit, dude.
mhm,
Like so, but like a lot of the people, they tried to get their phones out and like the number pad wouldn't work or it was like
mhm.
blurry.
I guess what you're gonna have to do in situations like this, um, I always tell people this is that computer programmers, you think they have top of the line stuff, Google TV, you think they
Hmm.
have like the brand new iPhone. They don't. They have an old phone, they have a TV, and maybe they have like a fax machine that's 15 years old. That's
Yeah.
computer programmers because they know that everything can be seen, intercepted these days. They know there's no
Yeah, you want to go low tech, more low tech than high
low
tech.
tech. So what we're going to end up seeing is some bad imaging because it's an old phone
And
that
you know
eventually.
what would be fascinating is if people kept the real cameras on them, like those old 35 millimeters with film and
Mhm,
shit too. You know?
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, and I'm telling you, this is going to come from an old phone. This is not going to come from a brand new iPhone
Hmm.
because they can actually track you even if your
Yeah.
phone is off.
Right. And, obviously they can probably just remotely extract photos from your
Oh
phone and
yeah.
shit, but they can definitely tell where images were taken and this and that to top it off. So, any of these guys releasing videos, they're basically gonna, like, if they're filming that in their house, they're gonna know where that person is.
Hmm.
So it's fascinating. Like that Portal guy, the graffiti guy, I don't think he did another video. So, and he looked like he was in his house,
Hmm.
so that's kind of interesting.
Who out
Uh
there right now is doing great work on the Miami thing besides yourself?
there's some lady on TikTok, I don't know her name, and she's got some videos going, but a lot of this
Is it the white girl with the blonde hair and the glasses?
that she did some original work right out of the gate that was good, but I feel like no one's got it like I do. If you go to my shows, they're like, it's a lot of stuff that's real condensed over my last 3 or 4 shows, that where I've really tried to go out and scour for everything and bring anything and just show it that I thought was interesting that I
Because
could.
we know that what people do is with technologies and camera phones and all this kind of crazy tech and drones now,
Right.
with all this kind of technology, um, they have to try because the more we advance in that field,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of money to be made, and if
Oh
things can make a
yeah.
lot of money, they're going to make a lot of money. Um,
Yep.
they're going to have to shut down all these things that keep coming out: drones, cell phones, cameras, all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. However, when it comes down to that, because there is just so much that they have to do, and they know that they can't keep everything completely quiet, they're only the mainstream media and just like the police and just in general, the only thing they can do is run disinformation. So when you look for something, you think something is legit when it's really not, when the real video is probably like 3 pages down.
Right, right. Exactly. But a lot of straw man tactics. So here's an example of a straw man thing I pretty much knew right from the beginning, because there's really no. So everyone's looking at like that that police footage from the balcony, and they're saying it was an alien walking, but it's just like a blurry thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you call like a ruse footage. So is what the CIA, or maybe some random dude did put that out at first, but then someone in the some higher up decides to run with it, because then all of a sudden you see every news agency, see, everyone's claiming shadow aliens, and see, we proved it was just 3 cops walking side by side, and see, that's it, end of story, ha 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 ha.
Exactly.
And but we're, whoa
And it's
whoa,
amazing what the public will buy.
yeah, but it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where's the footage from inside the mall? Where's the
Mhm.
footage? I mean, like, where's the footage from this fight inside the mall?
Mhm.
They showed what they claim is a fight, but it wasn't inside the mall, and it was 4 blocks away, and it
Mhm.
possibly was on a different date. And here's another thing: there's footage of people fleeing into the parking lot well into this event. Okay, so like there's already maybe like 100 or more cops or something like that, or 70 in the area, and you see people running for their absolute lives through the parking lot. Now think about this.
They're running into traffic too.
Yeah, and think about this. That means that those things were still walking around for some time, or people were, the police didn't let them out of the mall, and they eventually got out, and then they just ran for their lives. I mean, they were just terrified. Like, who runs full speed through parking lots for nothing?
Let alone into traffic where you can get
Yeah,
hit by a car.
yeah. It's
It doesn't
really
add up.
weird. No, it doesn't add
It
up.
doesn't add up.
And so that's the thing. So so that's why I find it weird that any of these supposed alternative reporters that are just hammering this, like, oh, this shit's fake, but what, they're not even gonna, they're not into the conspiracy that just none of this adds up from the police standpoint side, that
Like I said, it's
alone.
incredible what the American public will believe because
Yeah.
so many people are still stuck in the mainstream narrative.
Yep.
Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the boomers are still running things. I think
Yeah.
that when the boomers finally rest, uh, when it's the next generation's turn to run things, this is the generation that was raised on technology.
Mm-hmm.
This is the generation that was raised on this, that wants disclosure, this, that, and the other thing. It's kind of like, look at these octogenarians that are in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Dianne Feinstein freaking voted on a bill and then died the same day. Look at these people just refusing to give up power well into their 80s, well into their 90s. I think there's going to be a change, but what do you think? Do you think because we know what the media is saying about this or not saying, but do you think that this has woken up a lot of people who were sleeping about this?
Well, I know like once I saw my first UFO at close range where it wasn't just like a star in the sky or some shit that, you don't really know if it's a UFO. That prompted me to really check into UFOs, like almost like full time type thing, So like once I saw a couple, like then so people that have seen things are going to either check into it more or know it's legit. And sometimes the people that haven't seen things, it's like a 50-50 where they might just flip into like CNN mode where they just start laughing and say, oh, fucking green aliens. And, this
Right.
and that. But, so that's kind of what I noticed with it, because
do you think any cops will ever come out and start talking about it?
they were so threatened because I have many cops on I mean, if the videos are real, I have like maybe 3 or 4 cops basically saying, I'm gonna try to get all these videos together. Like that one guy that called the police station, they said they can't talk about it. The other guy's father, and I seen something else. So I think there was like 3. And I definitely think that they know the severity because they were all there. They were at that event and they themselves saw it and they were part of it. And they know that it's for a cop, that's just a matter of like national security and they're doing their thing and they think they're heroes basically because
That's what they do, right?
they're
False sense.
really not going to come out with that. Most cops are like this weird like hive mentality. I mean, maybe some rebel, but that's why they screen cops so good for a certain personality type and shit. And it's rare that you get a guy kind of going against the grain
Mm-hmm.
in that, you know. And with
How
being
you
with
always
this,
see the protesters versus the cops. You're like, how can the cops fight for the state and do this when the protesters are literally fighting for their own rights? It's
Mhm.
because they have that personality type.
Yep,
And the idea of the badge gives them a false sense of, not all cops, but it gives them a false sense of empowerment.
yeah, yep, yep, and they like that.
Mm-hmm. Damn, man. So we got a few minutes left, man. So if you want to just share, um, if you've come across anything new in the last couple of
Well,
days
yeah, so
or
like
breaking.
the guy that called the police department and the cop kept saying basically the whole gist of the thing was the guy was trying to act like he had the video, but he kept trying to say, well, hypothetically a friend has it, because he was trying to psychologically mess with the cop to where the cop thought he was legit enough to start saying, look, like you better not talk about this type thing. So like the cop supposedly actually whispered into the phone and you could hear it, unless this is like a fake video or something.
No, I know what you're about to say. Go on.
Yeah, he whispers into the phone like we'll find you. We'll find you or something like that. And the guy's like, what? Like, he starts tripping. And so they're doing like, I wouldn't doubt if this kind of shit's going on. I mean, if that really did occur, obviously they wouldn't want any video of that out. That could cause a panic. It's national security. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty wild. I know that was a crazy police response. Like I've never seen anything like it, even for like 9/11, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it would be here should be the headline then.
You mean
Okay.
300
No,
cop
no,
cars
yeah, here's the
going to
headline.
get kids with
Okay.
sticks?
Okay, news. If it's not aliens, then why aren't the news stations real? Because this would be the biggest story ever. But notice they aren't running with this. Here should be their headline. Oh, police chief total failure orders da 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 300 cops show up and helicopters are flying around, cost $2 million, the taxpayers spent da da
Mhm.
da da da. Now people are saying aliens, you know, like, I mean, they could just really do it up. They didn't even mention that
They just want
angle.
to bury this. Do you think?
Yeah,
Do you think they'll come up with another with a distraction to get our mind off of this?
I think that it's faded out enough publicly, that, but I bet they hope that some kind of videos don't come out or a bunch of witnesses, and eventually, like, maybe like a UFO hunters will do like a show on this, but it'll be like 5 years later or
Right.
something. And but yeah, I don't know. I say let's just see. I feel like it's a fluid situation still. Like, this is almost like investigating like that Las Vegas shooting, where I think it was like the first month I investigated like full time, and then it went into like 3 months like that, and then almost 6 months full time. So like, this could be something that we just keep seeing, new information coming out, because so
Mhm.
many people were at that mall. You know,
So, bottom line, Shep, I know you can't say for sure whether it's real or not, but all the signs point to the
I
fact.
think it's real. I think to some, whether they're aliens or interdimensional beings or ghosts or Project Bluebeam. I personally don't think it's Bluebeam, but let's just throw that. It could be any of those, or something. But something went on, and they responded, and it's bizarre.
Shep, man, tell everybody where they could find you and your work on this, and where you are in general.
Just on all my social media at Shepherd Ambellas, and the Shepherd Ambellas YouTube channel, Rockfin, Rumble. I go live on Twitter. So we go live every day at about 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook sometimes. And, you can just check out the show like that. You can search it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the Shepherd Ambellas Show.
And you're on X, right?
Yeah.
And I see that if you go through your timeline, you post a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
Correct.
just random stuff.
Right.
And then, but on this, I'm posting pretty much a lot of the stuff that I'm coming across, and then my shows might have more detailed information I'm going to talk about.
All right. Yeah, man. Well, thank you for coming on, man. Listen, you have an open invitation anytime something blows up or
Okay.
something wants to come on, or anytime you want to come on and a new story pops up that's really interesting and you do,
Yeah.
because you're like a
I
bull. You're like a bull when it comes to this. You're just like,
Yeah, like
head
some when
on.
I see things that are and well, obviously I've had my own encounters, so I'm gonna check into this too, right? So, but like when I see things that are off, and it's just like those are the stories I gravitate to, and then I start checking into them, and I get into them so many hours, and it just keeps going, and then that's how you know there's something going on, because you can't really find the end of it.
Right. So
So,
it'd be interesting, man. I'm gonna keep. I always keep tabs on your work, but like, if
thanks, man.
something really cool comes up about this Miami
Yeah.
story or something breaks,
Okay.
let's do another one. Okay.
Awesome, man. I appreciate this.
All right,
Thanks,
Shep. I'm gonna
Micah.
upload this right away, and I'll send you the link. You could share it out. All right, man.
Thank you so much.
Shep, take care, man. Okay.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Awesome. Uh huh.